Okay, so looking at the A coefficient, we're going to look at this in two parts. If there's a sign change, so it goes from positive to negative or negative to positive, you know that there is a reflection over the x-axis. If your A coefficient gets bigger, so it starts at a number and it gets bigger, you know it's going to get narrower. If it starts at a bigger number and goes to a smaller number, it's going to cause your parabola to get wider. So let's look at our A coefficient here. So I can see that A starts off at a positive and changes to a negative. So because there is a sign change, this is telling me that there is a reflection. And specifically, it has to reflect over the x-axis. It is never going to reflect over the y. Okay? And then now I want to look at the number. So it started off at a 1, and then look here, it's also still a 1, so it is not going to get narrower or wider. It does not change in that regard. So the only changes that we had was that this graph went up 3, and then it reflected over the x-axis. Let's look at example number 2. We have f of x is equal to x squared, and g of x is equal to 2 times the sum of the value of x and 3 squared. So again, I want to look at my IHOD number. I'm going to start with that. I do have parentheses. I do have a number inside, which tells me it's either going to move left or right. And so now I've got to do the opposite of what it says. So if it is positive, it's actually going to move left. So I have an IHOD number, and it is telling me to go left 3 because I see a positive 3, but I've got to do the opposite of what I'm used to thinking. Now I want to look for an outside number, an over number. So I want to look after the parentheses squared, and I don't see any number, so there is no over number. So this graph is not going to move up or down from its original location. And now I'm going to look at the A coefficient. Remember, it started off as a 1, and now it is a 2. Well, there was no sign change, which tells me there is no reflection. No reflection. Now, I want to look at the A. It went from a 1 to a 2. So is that getting bigger or is that getting smaller? And hopefully you said it is getting bigger, which means the parabola gets narrow. So it's getting skinnier. So here are the transformation